So today I want to talk to you about using hypnosis to manifest your dreams. If you've tried hypnosis, put it in the chat as the intro's playing. We're starting in just a second. Hey y'all, I'm Debbie Dobbins. I'm the Queen of Magic, and today I want to share with you about hypnosis and how to use hypnosis to create your manifestations. And I want to begin with the idea that magic, a manifestation, has no space or time, because we live in this crazy thing called planet Earth, and it has this thing called space and time. This is how we relate to our experience here. And we all get very attached to our space and our time and our manifestations when they're not happening in the space and the time that we think they should. And oftentimes when they're not coming in that time frame that we'd like them to happen in, then there's so much consternation and anxiety and stress. And what I see that as is an opportunity for us to look backwards and begin to see that there are so many puzzle pieces that go into this big puzzle called our life, that is each experience showing up in such an interesting way that it allows, well, let's just say another phrase, dominoes to fall into place for each experience. Now think about this for a second. If you look back in your life, all of the things that happened to get you to where you are today, some of those experiences, at least that you can reference them now, it's actually all of them. At the time, they didn't seem like something that you really wanted, but they took you on a different path and a different trajectory. And so when I look at manifestation, it's about allowing the experience to unfold the way that's going to give you the best manifestation possible. So we'll get back to that in a second. But I wanted to just tell you a little bit of a magical journey that I had directly related to hypnosis. And it starts in 1994. January 17th, 1994, I lived in California. I was about to turn 40 in about 6 months. And if you know anything about Southern California, or you heard it on the news, or you actually lived in Southern California, you remember the North Ridge earthquake. So picture this, it's 2 weeks after the first of the year, the Rose Parade came off without a hitch. It's gorgeous outside. It's a little brisk because it's California. It's not really super cold. It's the 17th of January, and Tanya Harding had just hit Nancy Kerrigan, crippled her almost, and her boyfriend was being arrested. There was record cold temperatures that hit the eastern United States, and honestly, in my perspective, where I was in my life at that point, it felt like there was a little bit of turmoil on the whole planet, even though these were all isolated experiences. This earthquake hits on the 17th, which I absolutely, I'll just take a side note, I love earthquakes. I love actually natural disasters, is because I see the power of this earth, this planet, this energy force that we live in. And so this earthquake, it happens very, very early in the morning. I don't know, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And because I'm a Southern California girl, most people in California don't love earthquakes, but I do. And so it feels like, to me, a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And this particular morning, I mean, literally, I'm shaking and rolling on my bed, and I'm thinking, okay, this is really fun. The only thing that was concerning was I had a window right above my bed. I never experienced an earthquake quite like that. And it's so funny because my job at the time was I was working for a savings and loan company, and I was doing, I was the vice president of the company, and it was in the Northridge area. And so the earthquake happened. I got up out of bed. I decided to go to work because that's what I do. I'm a workaholic, or at least I'm a recovering workaholic. I drive to the office, and as I'm driving on the freeway, I see the office, which was an all glass building, and it looked perfectly fine to me. I thought, well, I'm driving into the parking lot. I don't know what these people might be doing because of an earthquake. They don't want to come to work. But as I drive around the parking lot, I could see that the whole front, because the front was on the side streets, not on the freeway side, the whole front of the building had fallen. The glass windows were gone. And needless to say, I walked inside, the sprinklers had gone on, which caused the most damage, and all of our files had been drenched in water, and there really wasn't much to do that day. I went home and I sat down at my house because I didn't usually get a day off in the middle of the week, and turned on the TV, and lo and behold, it's the middle of the day, that's when Oprah's on. So there is Oprah Winfrey. Now, God love Oprah Winfrey. She has made so much availability to us as a planet and women to enlighten us in so many different ways. And this is in 1994. So keep that in mind, that this is so remarkable that on this particular day, Oprah is interviewing a hypnotherapist who was sharing about finding your perfect soulmate. Well, I still thought that was, a thing. I was listening to this hypnotherapist and understanding that you could find your soulmate with hypnotherapy, which, okay, sure, I'll try anything. That sounded great. Didn't know a hypnotherapist to save my life. And I put that in the back of my mind. Well, this particular day, there was a replay of Oprah with Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra is a pretty amazing guy. And so between the two of these episodes, both having to do with the mind, I was completely blown away. And to put this in a little more perspective, I was looking for something. And what I was looking for seemed to show up on these two episodes. And what I was hearing from these two individuals was so fascinating that I could go to a hypnotherapist and find my soulmate. And at the same time, Deepak Chopra is doing this wild, at least it seemed wild at the time, experiment with Oprah, where he had a string. So imagine a string with a little washer on the end. And he had her hold the string very, very still. And with her mind, make it go back and forth, and then go in a circular fashion, and then go in the opposite circular fashion, just with her mind. Well, I was dumbfounded because here I am watching Oprah because of an earthquake, talk about coincidences. And I was sitting there looking at this experiment that Deepak Chopra is doing, and all of this information from both of these episodes was so related and connected to each other of how our mind can create something from just our thoughts. I had actually believed this my whole life, that you could create your experience with your thoughts. However, I was young or younger, and I just didn't really know how to do that. And I was distracted with a whole lot of things that weren't probably in the best interest of me at the time. But anyways, I was not practicing creating anything with my mind. Now, I believed it, but I didn't really know how to do it. Now, here this was living proof right in front of me, especially with this experiment that Deepak was doing. At this point in 1994, it seemed really, really out of the box. And what he said was, every cell in your body is eavesdropping on your internal dialogue. And by changing your internal dialogue, you can influence the chemistry of all the cells in your body. Well, that seemed pretty wild, a pretty wild statement in 1994. Now, today, I just take that for granted because I know and scientifically it's been proven, but it's perfectly normal right now. And so many people really grasp that now. Back in 1994, it seemed like it was really completely woo and out of the box. But in that moment, I was absolutely amazed by what I was seeing. And I was even more amazed by what I was hearing him say. And this is the part that I know that I heard, but I didn't really learn it completely until later. You can fulfill any desire in life because the desire, and this is what's beautiful, the desire is the mechanics of its fulfillment. And he went on to say that he doesn't have the same desires as Oprah, which clearly Oprah's in front of him, but no one has the same desires. You don't have the same desires that I do, or Oprah, or Deepak, or my next door neighbor. You have your own desires. And nature gave you those desires. Nature gave each one of us our own special, unique desires to fulfill in this lifetime. Holy moly, mother effing crap. We're here, the only creatures on planet Earth who can change our biology, right? The chemistry changes your cells by what you think. We're the only creatures that can change our biology to create what we want in our life. And at the time, Deepak had credibility because he was a medical doctor. And he came from a very scientific point of view, which of course, that's what drew me into this whole conversation about science. Because it took it out of the woo-woo conversation, which spirituality and science are the two sides of one coin. I'm very spiritual and I'm very scientific, but they blend together. They are absolutely one and the same. I don't think at that particular moment I was downloading and grasping the things that I was hearing, other than the fact that you can create whatever you want, but that you have these receptors in your brain that produce chemicals. They then send out those chemicals to the cells in your body to create the experience that you're choosing to have. Now think about that. Holy cow. I would pause the video right now and go, what? Wow. That's amazing. So I thought, well, this is great. How do I do something like this? And because it was happening simultaneous with the hypnosis person, my intuition said to me, you are going to go find a hypnotherapist, because I wanted to use my mind in this process, and the hypnotherapy route seemed like it was going to be really simple. So, of course, I don't think in 1994, we didn't have Google. So, honest to God, I forget now how I even found this guy, because it wasn't easy. He was close. I did actually find this hypnotherapist. Of course, coincidence, I think not. Coincidence of magic. So I found him, and his name was Dr. Al Krasner in Orange County, 45 minutes away from where I was. I don't even know where I did the research, but he wrote this little book called A Wizard Within. See, Dr. Al Krasner. I thought, well, he'll never let me in to have an appointment because he wrote a book. You know, that's how we think back in 1994. So what I was actually making an appointment for was a seminar, or a presentation, if you will, by Dr. Krasner. I honestly, this is where the magic comes in, is you just keep moving forward and things show up in a crazy magical way. Or he had actually a university in Orange County to teach hypnotherapy, the only one of its kind in 1984. And I was astounded, because during this seminar, he put us all under hypnosis. And what I've learned and come to discover since that time is I am very easily hypnotized. He did this thing with a piece of paper and gave me the hypnosis suggestions, wrote the word sleep on the piece of paper and put it in front of my face, and had given me a suggestion. And literally, when he did that, I did this. Because hypnosis is just suggestions. It isn't quack like a duck and crow like a chicken. I knew I was easily hypnotized because I wanted to access those brain waves that we get to in hypnosis, which is what I've learned subsequently. So before we go any further, I want to share with you a little bit about hypnosis, because there is so much information about hypnosis that is not accurate. And I'm just actually going to take it from Dr. Al's book. There's a number of different explanations, because he says, depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer. But I like this one. Hypnosis is an altered state within which suggestions have a peculiarly potent effect. What I want you to know about hypnosis is that it's just a deep form of meditation. So once I went and got certified to do hypnosis, I went, oh my gosh, this is just deep meditation. But if you know what meditation truly is, it isn't just sitting there and going om. It's about taking yourself to a different altered state, which an altered state is a different brain wave pattern, because we're living in this beta zone, which is just busy, 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 busy. And when you get down to the alpha and theta and delta brain wave patterns, you can be suggestible. What does that mean? When you're in a deep meditation, you're really truly in an altered state, which is hypnosis. And your mind can accept, because when you're in beta, your mind says, I gotta keep doing on program mode. And if you're in these other states, you can relax and begin to see things and feel things in a much more congruent and acceptable way. You can do self-hypnosis as well, and you can give yourself suggestions. Hypnosis is literally, you see it on the stage, which I also perform stage hypnosis, which is super fun, but it's just, nobody will do anything that they wouldn't do without hypnosis. It just allows you to be suggestible to do things that are silly. So other people can give these suggestions to you, and brainwashing is different than hypnosis. And so, all the spy movies where they hypnotize you, that's not really an accurate description. But if somebody knows how to do hypnosis, they can hypnotize you and plant in suggestions that you choose. That's what I knew immediately, was something so easy, deep meditation, and transports you to this altered state where your brainwave patterns are slower, and you can absolutely have a transformation of how your life is showing up. And I had a transformation right then and there, which I did not even realize at the time. That transformation would not show up for years later, but at that particular moment, I said, hell yeah, I wanted to help people in a way that I knew was absolutely, in my version of life at that point, was magical. And I wanted to do that going forward. Now, up until that point, I'd never really been an entrepreneur. I always worked for businesses. I had an entrepreneur mind, but I was working for people. So if I was going to be a hypnotherapist, then I was going to go out on my own. And I'm going to tell you something. I was this scared little girl that had these cute little pink flyers that I would take around sharing about my hypnosis, because what we were teaching at that time was how to stop smoking, how to lose weight. And I just knew that there was lots of people out there that wanted those things. And so I managed to get a little clientele. Like I said, I was scared as a little bunny rabbit and taking these flyers and giving them to anybody that would listen. And then as my practice began to grow a little bit, what I noticed was that I would have people ask me, could you hypnotize me for other things, whether it be riding on an airplane? I had men ask me, can you hypnotize me to be a better golfer? And all of those things are mental games. So that became part of the process of moving down this path of helping people begin to see themselves and allow themselves to let go of some of the fears and habitual behaviors that they had. And as I began to see smokers become non-smokers, people lose weight, better golfers, take these airplane trips, and they were making these transformations right before my eyes, and I was astounded by how powerful this tool was. And I know in hindsight, the magic that was created was me having the seed planted that I could do that to help women be manifestors of abundance. Now, I didn't know at that moment, but as time went by, my life began to unfold in all of these magical ways. I realize now that that was where the seed was planted, to understand that this mind that we have is where the true magic is. It isn't something that's out of your control. It is 100% under your control. And as long as you know that you have the ability to create all of these things in your life, whether it's changing an old habit like stopping smoking, or creating and manifesting something that you're dreaming of, it's simply doing the process. And that process is getting yourself into that altered state. Whether you look at it and call it hypnosis, or you call it deep meditation, or you call it an altered state, it's all the same thing of getting your mind into this state of brainwave patterns that's out of beta into alpha, theta, or delta. So, how do you get there fast? That's really kind of the interesting thing. And I didn't learn, I knew the hypnosis process, and so that's a facilitator having you relax your body, basically. Relax your body, then relax your mind. But I wanted fast, because that's the kind of girl that I am. And so if I fast forward a little bit, I learned many years later about binaural beats. So a good brief explanation for a binaural beat is that you have to do it with headphones on. And so this frequency is a little bit different than this frequency in your brain. Your brain reconciles the sounds to make a much smaller the difference between the two vibratory frequencies. And what that does is it takes you, your sound, the sound waves take your brain to that pattern of an alpha or a theta brainwave pattern. And the first time I ever learned that, I was like, oh my God, I can get to hypnosis, because I can get hypnosis pretty quickly, but I can get there even faster with these binaural beats. Holy cow. So here's the secret to all of this, is if you get your brain into those patterns, those slower frequency patterns, you can give yourself suggestions, or in that particular brainwave state, altered state, you begin to see your vision, your manifestations that you would like to experience in your life. And those visions become so much more powerful because you're receptive to it. When you're in beta, you're not receptive to anything because you're still in your habitual pattern mindset. So whether you're a meditator or you're not a meditator, or you meditated and you said, I can't do it, it's not for me, I can't slow my brain down, all of that. I have a couple of tools that I use, which I have a free binaural beat MP3 streaming, and I have a 6-phase meditation, which is also a guided meditation that helps you get into that receptive state. And the thing is that if you do not begin to use these altered states, this meditative format in some way or another, and slow that pattern down, then you will not be able to manifest, because you're going to stay on that same trajectory that you've always been on. That's your habit mindset. And then when you do get into this altered state and you start planting these ideas of suggestions of what you want, not somebody else is telling you some suggestion, what you want, they begin to appear literally magically. And that's when I talk about magic. I'm not talking about potions and lotions and things that, woo-woo. I'm talking about this place of creation that you can create out of absolute nothingness. Because remember what Deepak said, your thoughts create the chemistry in your cells so that you are bringing it in. And it seems like it's magic. It seems like it came out of nothingness, but it's truly you just vibrating with the universe on such a magical way. And then you begin to remember who you truly are and why you came to this planet, because your true nature is absolutely using this power that you came in with. You forgot. And it's time to remember that you are a magical creature. And so from 1994, fast forward to today, I've been on this journey, taking this path, putting all of these puzzle pieces together, from Deepak to hypnosis to binaural beats to so many other amazing teachers and mentors and shamans along the way. And these puzzle pieces are where I got. Those puzzle pieces are where this vision is that I have now of creating 1 million women knowing their magical powers. I'll never forget during this time with when I was a hypnotherapist that I went to an event where my spoon's in the other room, I think. I bent a spoon literally just by the power of my mind. It was the energy that was created, and I know that I was amazed with that as Oprah was with the string in the washer. And you have that power, that telekinesis that science calls it, where you're moving matter with your mind. It's truly something that's available to you, but you have to believe it. And what's more powerful is you can create reality. Your reality, which is the matter around you, with your mind. So on my mission and on this vision, there's been stops and starts and manifestations and dreams and falling down and traumas and upsets and all of it in service to these miracles happening. All of my contact information is in the body below. And if you'd like to schedule a discovery call, I'd be happy to share some feedback with you. So be magical.